Hey guys, I'm coming on for a live stream really quick. I'm out in the cabin and we are pulling things out of the cabin to take into the big house just because we have a whole loft up there. I need to get a railing put on that, and then we need to get some bedding up there, and I'm trying to brainstorm everything, but I have it full of gardening books and homeschool books, and I can't think with that many books around me that are disorganized. Hey Anita, how are you? So we had our first full week of Airbnb here, and we had positive reviews from everybody. Well, in person we had really positive views, and then 2 of them have forgotten so far to leave reviews. So we're kind of waiting on that, which is too bad because if they don't leave reviews, nobody knows that they had a good time except you and them, not the rest of the world. So far, nobody, I think that, well, I don't remember. Hey, Susie Q. So far, the first Airbnbers, they cooked out here, but they destroyed one of my pans. Not on purpose. And then the next 2 didn't cook. We made breakfast for everybody. We have eggs on the property and milk and that kind of thing, Swiss chard, so we feed them breakfast. And that's fun for us and hopefully helps them with their budget. So that was fun. Hey Michael R., how are you? Yes, the Airbnb bug bit me. It's just fun to have people come on the property. The girls really enjoy it. They go out and they talk and talk and talk, and they walk them around the raspberries and the plums and gooseberries, whatever else is producing. They'll go and chow down on all the fruit. They show them all the birds. They just really enjoy the social aspect of having a captive audience. And most of the people are shocked and I think refreshed by how friendly my kids are. So that's fun. Everybody seems to, I mean, we haven't had any complaints. We haven't had a single complaint. But because we haven't had more than 1 review, because people forget to leave the reviews, we don't necessarily have huge accolades either. So I don't know. Hey Kate. Did you take the books, honey? Are you done with the books? Okay. Yeah, it has gone well, and we had a packed week of it. And the first one was tricky. The second and third one was just completely easy. So we feel better about it coming out of it than we did going into it. Hey, Maddie girl. My kids are huge. That's how my girls are. My girls are big and they're helping with a lot of things, and I'm really happy with them. Hey Mark, hey Kathleen, hey Tim. How's it going on the new rocket stove? Oh, so exciting. So 2 days ago we went out and worked with Darwin on the aircrete chimney pipe, and we got everything but, okay, the heat riser, we got that done, but we didn't pour it because he had to run, and he had a friend that had a big load of free building material. He's magical, this guy. He's from my hometown, and he runs the Army surplus store, and he's friends with Darwin. And every once in a while he'll call Darwin and say he's getting rid of stuff, and Darwin has to run. So we didn't get the heat riser poured, but the batch box is ready. The ceramic tile that he poured to make the batch box is finished. That part is ready. I believe that he's already poured the heat riser without me there. And so pretty much at this point, all he has left to do is pour the aircrete around the ceramic tile in the stove. And then I think we're good to go. We're gonna wait to install the stove until his class that he's teaching. They did a Kickstarter for the aircrete rocket mass heater and the plans for that, and so they could put a kit together for that. So they built the shop just specifically to have that class out there, and that happens the end-ish of August, so that's when we're going to put the stove in. And that way everybody who's in his class can come and watch him install the stove, see how to set everything up, and be here for the first firing. So that will be very, very exciting. Hey Julie, hey Christy, hey Patty. So what, honey? Yep, make sure not to drop any though. I really don't want you to carry more than you can carry safely. So maybe maybe put some back, because those are really important books, honey. And I'm really concerned you're going to drop them. All of them. So maybe put a couple back on the stairs. Oh, I'm really sad if your allowance chore money is going to have to go to buying me new books because you bust them. Nope, but you can go put some of them back on the stairs. Thank you. So all my precious books are coming down out of the attic. I can try and show it to you what it looks like up there. Doesn't really look any different than normal, but there's the attic. I have some of my favorite books that I want people to see are available up there. I can't find, where's my hand? There. Those are some of my books I think people would like to read. And then we have some of our favorite kid type farm related books down here, like Laura Ingalls Wilder, for people to read. I have some knitting and we just have a whole bunch of fun stuff here for people to use. We have baseball bats and foam, Nerf gun, arrows, bows and arrows.
Yeah, Granny and Grandpa got those for us.
Yep, all the fun stuff. So far, nobody has used them. Everybody has wanted electricity to power their phones and that kind of thing. But I haven't seen a lot of reading, which I'm sad. I'm sad every time people just want to come in and sleep here instead of reading my books and that kind of thing. Patty said, how many days are you booked? So last week, we had 3 guests that stayed one night each, and then we had a request for somebody who wanted to stay the full weekend. And that's what we had. Hey, Nikki. Luann said, hello from Northern Michigan. Excited to see the new rocket stove. I'm so excited to see the new rocket stove. It's going to be square. My current rocket stove is round because it was made of old barrels and coffee cans and things like that from the dump. So I love it. It's beautiful. But this one's going to be square, the one he's making, because he needs to be able to bend it and press it into shape and be able to send it to people who maybe don't have the same skills that he has. This one, you just use, what are they called? The rivet. It's put together with rivets instead of welding. And that way people can do it themselves without these big skills. And you could take his plans to your local machinist and have it made for pretty inexpensively. So it's all extremely, extremely exciting. Hey, Avon how are you? It's good to see you. Hey, Tubular Guy 9. Right now the Airbnb is not booking okay. Our first week was pretty full, and we had, oh my gosh, we had some instant bookings that came in right on top of each other, and it was very stressful. And then they took me off of being a farm stay, and that caused some complication because they said I had to be a commercial farm. But people have more interaction with animals and crafting here on my little farm than they would on a commercial farm. So I recontacted them and said, hey, I think I can as a farm because they're milking their own breakfast and eating the eggs they collected. How is this not a farm stay? So we had to get in and change that. So we haven't had any bookings since that was forcibly changed, and then we had to rechange it. So we're kind of waiting to see what happens with that. Okay, so Maddie Girl said, how are the kids? What do they do for fun? Right now they're doing a lot of sewing and a lot of playing with kittens. And we have something really fun coming next week that we're keeping a little bit of a surprise until it gets here. But then they'll have something really fun to show you guys. Kate said, RV surplus store. I figure I'll need to look for one of those. Oh, it's not an RV surplus store. It's an army surplus store, like with tanks and stuff. It's amazing because they have more stuff than just army. It's just a super fun store, and he has access to all sorts of really cool tools and supplies and vehicles. He has got the most amazing stockpile of just wonderment, and he does cool things with it on his property. He's like Darwin and equally on steroids as far as a DIY type guy, like Darwin. They're good friends, and they're amazing. Patty said, do you still have goats? I do still have goats. Would you like to see them? I will walk out on the porch and show you. We haven't been in the cabin for a bit because of the Airbnbers, and it's really fun to come out and just sit out here and kind of muse. I don't know if you'll be able to see them or not. Can you see them? Where are they? Right there. And where's my other one? My other one is right. I can't get my finger to go to the right spot. Right there. Anyway, they're all over back in the pasture. And this is what the summer kitchen and everything is looking like. We did bring some of the quail and the ducks. And then this is the cooking space, the hand washing station, and this is for cooking water or shower water if they need it. And that way I don't have people breaking my hand pump, because the way that we get our water here in the cabin is with a hand pump. But if we had somebody out there wailing on it and being hard on it, they could easily break it. So we haul the water for them and put it into containers. So let's see. Kathleen said, the thought of off-grid sounds romantic until you have to actually put it into practice. See, and for me, I love it. As the difficulty I think that comes with off-grid is if you're trying to do everything as quickly as you would with power. For me, I love to be off-grid as long as I'm not on a time crunch. If I need to be somewhere as quickly and as available as the modern fast world is, I can't do it. Because when I do laundry, it takes me all day to do laundry off-grid. And if I'm going to cook, everything is very slow. Well, not slower than on grid, because with the sun oven, for instance, it's super fast. It's just as fast as a conventional oven, but I have to have sunshine. If it's winter and I need to cook, I need to build that heat up a little bit more. So I find it wonderful, but it's very hard to live in our modern world with how fast it is, and be off grid, unless you have like a source of income that allows you to not have a job, or that allows you to just take things as slow as you need to do. It's very difficult. If you had an unlimited supply of money and could spend it on all the cool things that allow you to be off grid and do it without physical stress, that would be doable. But I agree. Living off grid is very romantic and is romanticized, but I have done it and I still romanticize it because I love it. I love going to bed with the sun. I love using candles instead of electric lights. I like not having electricity in the cabin. The only thing I don't like is that I don't have a refrigerator. That makes me worried about things like food poisoning or not being able to stock enough food that I can keep people fed. That is the thing that we cheated on out here, is that we did run an extension cord and we did have a small student-sized fridge when we were out here. Because otherwise, how do you keep things cool? You would have to go butcher your chicken and immediately cook it and then immediately eat it. You wouldn't have any way to keep it from going bad and making you sick. Honey, can you open the door back up for me, please? Can you open it up? She knows not to come in. Thank you. And so, safety first. We have really built a lot of safety features into the cabin, a lot of comfort features into the cabin, and so we find it extremely comfortable. As long as we have about an hour to get ready for bed before it's time to be in bed, because we have to heat the water and get our showers and get dressed and brush our teeth, and it's a slow process. And as long as I remember to soak the beans in the morning so they're ready to cook at night, as long as it's just much more methodical. And yes, if you don't have the right tools, it is not fun. If you don't have the comfort tools that you need, like the rocket mass heater, if we had a conventional stove in here, a conventional wood stove, it would bake us out. It would be so miserable and so uncomfortable. But we have some amazing tools. We have the sun oven, we have the rocket mass heater, we have the hand washing station, we have the weed sprayer that we use for showering. I mean, the tools are what make it possible so that it's comfortable. Otherwise, it's drudgery and it's just misery. Let's see. What did we say? So Kathleen, so I definitely agree with you. Our first year here, our first summer here was much more difficult. It was, and part of that was because we were building the cabin and it wasn't insulated yet, and we didn't have any of the tools that we needed, and we got rid of so much of our survival stuff when we went on our RV trip for a year. And so it was a process. This is our third year in our third summer in the cabin, and now I feel like it's finished. If I could figure out how to have refrigeration out here without having to plug into anything, I would feel like it was luxury and like there was no inconvenience here whatsoever. That's how I would feel about it. Thinking Better said, please hit that like button. Thank you so much. Christy said, I would love to read books. I have so many of them. I have walls and walls. Even here in the tiny cabin, I have walls and walls of books. Avonleon said, is the Airbnb going well, even with the few issues so far? Is that what you had imagined? Now that we have had some good, our first experience was difficult because it was a sudden booking and we weren't anticipating it. We weren't quite ready. And they didn't speak English. Our second Airbnb, they spoke more English, but they also still they weren't necessarily fluent in English, and yet they were all very gracious, but the first one was really tricky. Is it what I thought it would be? No, I thought that if people wanted, if they booked an off-grid farm stay, I really thought people would want to be more hands-on, but they're really not. They're happy to sleep. They're happy to come in and use the shower. They're happy to have breakfast. They really love to pet the animals, and they love to go glean from the fruit trees. But as far as the off-grid aspect of it, I don't think anybody cares, at least not at this point. Thanks to Either Guy 9. Kathleen said, I agree. I've had to slow myself down to wean myself off the automated life. It is a paradigm shift, and many don't understand why. I think that's it. That's the gospel truth. A good way to put that is that your paradigm shifts to being slower, to being very purposeful, and mostly recognizing your own limitations. If you don't recognize your own limitations and you try to do everything for everybody still, and you make last minute plans, or that you let somebody, push you a little bit to stay out late at night, your off-grid life won't work. You have to be home at least an hour before sunset in order to get ready for bed, especially if you have chores. But even if you don't have animals, it takes an hour to get ready for bed at night. If you're heating water up, if you're doing that kind of thing, if you're making dinner, you have to recognize that you are doing physically many of the things that are automated in a normal home. And at least to me, it feels wonderful to slow down, to appreciate my body, to listen to my fatigue level, and live and breathe and work accordingly. You have to listen to your own rhythms. Your circadian rhythms help you sleep at night. They help you have enough serotonin. They help you be rested, and they help you work hard. Your circadian rhythms are very present when you're off-grid. Steve Pulemi said the best vacation I ever had was in Alaska with no electricity. It forces you. And I felt kind of, what's the word? I felt some, what is the word? I felt conflicted about whether or not to bring an extension cord out here for people so that they could plug in their stuff. And I'm not sure I want to keep it out here because I do have everything set up in the house in the basement. They have the bathroom to use. They have the laundry to use if they don't want to use the off-grid options. But I have run an extension cord out here for them so they can plug in their cell phones. And I feel like that's cheating a little bit. But it has been in the 90s. And when they're here, I do run the fan at night for them to help them keep a little cooler. It does cool down into the 50s at night, so it's not miserable. But after about noon until maybe 8, it can be warm in here, so I have the fan. So I don't know. Hey, Sarada, how are you? Maureen said, with off-grid, one embraces patience. Yes, patience and purposefulness. To realize you really can't do it all in one day. To realize that you have limitations. You can't just chug more coffee and push through it. You have to listen to your body when it gets tired, or you won't be able to do it the next day. Deborah said, we lived the last 2.5 years semi-off-grid. LOL, we live in a camper with electric and water to the sink. Yeah, and there's different degrees and different ways of doing it. I don't think there's a wrong way to do it. I think that the degree to which you want to do it is the way you should do it. Chrissy Bett said, no refrigeration would be especially hard in the Deep South. Yes, and I think that's why barbecue is locally such a big tradition, is because back in the day before refrigeration, any meat you have would need to be smoked and it would need to be dried. If you did not have a refrigerator, and because you don't get ice there the same way we would get here, traditionally here, you would have harvested ice, you would have had an ice house, you would have put ice in the ice house and then shipped it away and used it in your ice box during the summer. But in the South, you don't have ice harvest. So you would have needed a corn crib, and you would have needed a smokehouse, and you would have needed your little rat terrier dogs to keep the rats out of the corn crib, and you would have wanted to have a root cellar. But even a root cellar in the South might not be able to do as much as a normal refrigerator could. So yeah, in the South they were super smart. Lots of dehydrating and storing in open air. Rather, you wouldn't have stored anything in plastic. It needed to be open air. It needed to be salted. It needed to be smoked. And that's why barbecue is so good in the South, is because it wasn't a luxury item. It was essential necessity. We're going to starve to death if we don't have a smokehouse item. So in the South, you would have wanted to have a lot of salt put by for that kind of thing. Let's see. Kate said, I've been looking for solar compatible chest refrigerator that doesn't cost $1,000. They are very expensive. There are propane fridges. And, oh, my dad needs me to call him. I don't understand why my dad needs to talk to me every single time I come on a live stream, but I will call him. Love you, Dad, if you're watching. I've been looking, okay, and yes, you can also do solar. When I was a kid, we did have a solar, or what was it called? Is it direct current instead of alternating current? We had a little fridge that ran off of our solar panels when I was a kid, and it was very small, but it worked. It worked just fine. Let's see. Anita said, walls of books. Us too. Yeah, you got to have them. Walls of books. Luann said, honey, did you get all the books taken? Good girl. Okay, don't drop them.
This is the 2 very special books.
Okay.
Can I just put them in the blue backpack and then just take them that way?
No, just take them with your hands. Put them in my bedroom. Thank you. Off of it doesn't you have a propane fridge. What about that? Yes, you can get those, and they're pricey. And I don't know how well they work. But I have seen them, and I have lusted after them. I just haven't bit the bullet to get one. Oh, the Brussels sprouts. Yeah, the Brussels sprouts were awful. It did not occur to me that I should not be cooking Brussels sprouts in the house for our first Airbnb stay. Oh my gosh. I went outside and thought I smelled something dead when I came back in the house. I really thought that suddenly there was a rotting animal, and it was not good. Let's see. Sarada said that, Julie, there's an app that I use to communicate in another language. Well, and they had it on their phone, but they weren't really that interested in using it. They were an older couple. They were in their probably mid-60s. So not older couple, but they were a respectable aged couple. And they didn't want to mess with the app. They just didn't want to mess with it. And so we didn't. We just kind of got by with hand signals, and we did our best. Let's see. Sharon Tree said, off-grid is fun if electricity is not within walking distance. Temptation is powerful. And it's so true. Like I said, we used a little student type fridge. It was not easy, even with that little fridge, because it was so small that if you had anything fresh in it, you couldn't keep more in it than what would last you 2 or 3 days at most. So we had to do a lot of grocery shopping, frequent grocery shopping. If I'd had more time, I would have experimented with just butchering and then cooking the same night. I don't like to do that because the meat can be tough. The rigor mortis sets in and it hasn't re-tenderized a little bit. I like to freeze my animals before we cook and eat them because, again, tough. The meat is tough that way. But that would be the solution. Would be if I couldn't refrigerate things, I would only be able to harvest out of the garden. We would need to drink our dairy within 24 hours, and we would need to butcher our animals and eat them in the same day. And that would be really exhausting for me since I would be the only one doing it. If you had a big family and everybody was trained to help with that kind of thing and it was part of the norm. But it's difficult to go out and butcher the animal, get it plucked, and then come in and cook. If I could have the kids go out and butcher the animal, get it plucked, get it eviscerated, and then bring it to me so I could cook, that would be doable. Or if John was here and he could be splitting wood and helping with the animal care. But if you're off grid and you're a cook and you're doing that kind of cooking, like a same day butcher cook type thing, you're going to be in the kitchen all day and you're going to be exhausted. It's the only thing you're going to get done, which is fine. But there are other things essential that need to get done if you're going to have those animals. You need to feed the animals. You need to go and water the garden. You need to go milk the goat. You need to feed the goat. You need to water the goat. And so where I have little kids and I'm doing so much of it by myself, that would be drudgery. It would be slavish, drudgery. Because there would not be a moment of the day that I was not hauling something, doing something, killing something, birthing something. And for one person to do that, even on our small place, I would be suffering, the animals would be suffering, the kids would be suffering because I'd be cranky. So you really do need the whole system. You need the whole family doing it if you're going to do that kind of thing. But that would be how you would eliminate refrigeration, is if everything that needed to be eaten was harvested the same day that you cooked it. Let's see. Patty said, "How's the weather out there?" And you're in Ohio. Our weather here is really nice. We've had temperatures during the day anywhere from like 79 up to like 97. But night times have been like in the 50s, so we get a reprieve, so it's been nice. Okay, Kathleen said, it is like a tiny house. You have to be very choosy about what from modern life that you can keep and manage in your daily schedule. Yes, and that is why we needed to clean out the loft, was that we had some things that we felt like we just couldn't get rid of, and so we stored it up in the attic. It meant less living space, which wasn't a big deal because we have plenty of living space in here. But I did see that I was starting to put more and more stuff up in the attic and not really organizing and not really going through it. So I went, you have to be very organized in a tiny house. Julie said, check out solar battery backup for use with USB port for phone or other. That's a really good idea, actually. That's a very good idea. Garvin Garden said, hi again, Julie. When are you folks going on the road again? Any plans for that in the near future? Not in the near future. John gets here into Idaho the 19th of August. He will be here. And my body really started to shut down after the 2.5 years of us being on the road that much traveling back and forth between Tulsa and Idaho. I'm getting older. I'm almost 40. I'm just about there. And my body needs more exercise than what I was getting when we were on the road. And my body needs more exercise than what I was getting in a rental apartment. My body just really thrives on having this little homestead to take care of. I feel so much better. My health is better. Our emotions are more stable. The kids are doing really well. Traveling for us was really fun while we were doing it. But it was also incredibly stressful because we were making a living by being on the road. And I think you need a physical outlet. You always need a physical outlet, but especially when you're under a lot of stress, you need a physical outlet, and we weren't getting that. And I really miss my animals. Avon Leanne said, I have a small garden and garden beds around my house. It takes me 2 hours to water using my rainwater in the buckets and in my water can. I love it. Forces me to slow down. And I like hand watering for that reason too. We do always transition. Once we get into about June, we transition to drip lines because I have so many different gardens going at the same time. We have the greenhouse, we have the in-ground garden, we have the rabbit garden, we have the hotbed gardens, and I can water them by hand, but I have a tendency to let other important things fall by the wayside when I'm watering by hand at that point. But up until June, I do water by hand because, for one thing, the hoses freeze because we still have quite a bit of frost up until like the end of June. Tyler said, I think bookings so disconnected to an off-grid experience might be due to their search based on location alone. Like you said on your previous vlog, setting the price higher might evoke a closer look. And I think that's a good idea. I don't really know what to do about it all. I've got so many other projects going on at the same time, and I love the Airbnb, and it's like a side thing, but I'm not even sure what my main thing. I'm trying really hard to get the videos back up and better right now, and having furniture in the big house will help with that. Sleeping better at night, because we were sleeping on the floor, but this week we got beds. Previously we didn't even have foam mats. We were just sleeping on the floor, and I wasn't sleeping well. The girls weren't sleeping well. We slept much better here in the cabin because we had our foam mats, but we had Airbnbers here. So I'm not really sure what my main priority right now is. It's very difficult to do an efficient job on more than one thing at a time, and I've got so many things going on that I worry that one of these things would be much more successful if I would just focus on it, but I'm not focusing on one thing, which I'm, not sure what to say about that. We do focus on different things. Kaya, your quail are out of food here at the cabin. Can you go get them some damp food, please?
Sure.
Thank you. Let's see. Vivian said canned beef and keep in deep root cellar. Fantastic idea. Canning is a great thing to do if you don't have refrigeration. And if we wanted to take a really hard, close look at being here without refrigeration, I think canning is the way to do it. Thank you for mentioning that. Hey, Sandra, you made it. Let's see. Tyler said propane refrigeration is very dangerous. They can ignite without warning. I have heard that too. My parents use the solar refrigerator, solar-powered refrigerator. It's off solar panels and a battery bank, and that's how they run the refrigerator. Sandra said we have 4 solar panels for lights and TV. And that's the other thing here. We don't have any television for people. We don't own a television. I think so many people just use their computers now that I don't think that's a detriment to the Airbnb. But when we're out here at the cabin, my love is the candles. I love candles. Oh, where did the girls put the lantern? Oh, we got a spider. Go away, spider. I don't mind those ones because it's just a little jumping spider. But, what was I saying? We do have Wi-Fi for them. We have a little jetpack that we charge for them, and then we let them bring it to the cabin to use as their internet. But we haven't done television just because we don't own one. And I feel like I'm proselyting a little bit here in the cabin to be like, okay guys, unplug. But I'm not sure, I don't know how, when most of your visitors so far haven't spoken English, it's been a little hard to find out what they really think of things, except that they're being very positive and kind and gracious. But you don't really get to have an in-depth conversation with them about what they would like to change about your place. So we have little battery-powered lanterns out here that we have just for the Airbnbers, so that we're not worried about candles while they're here. And they work pretty good, and they're cute little things. But we try not to use them when we're out here, again, because of our circadian rhythms. Firelight, candlelight does different things to your brain than regular light bulbs will, and we value that for helping us get to sleep at night. Kate Ackerley said, makes me wonder circadian stuff. Wonder if that would slap my chronic insomnia into behaving. Did have periods of off-grid as a kid. Nebraska farm ended the line for electrical blizzards. Well, that's what they say. They say that fire and candlelight and not having anything that's run on electricity, if you follow those rhythms, the rhythms of the season, that it helps your serotonin levels. And if you're getting up with the sun to do chores, then that also helps you to get into your circadian rhythms. Kate Ackerley said, respectable age. Yes, I was very surprised that the people that scared me the most were the ones that were of a mature enough age to know better than to come in at 11:30 at night to do laundry and listen to loud audiobooks. I would have expected it from teenagers, but not somebody in their 60s. Tyler Wood said, as an RV tech, I've seen half a dozen fires with complete loss due to absorption refrigerators. Oh my gosh, that is so scary. See, that's one reason why. We have a window up in the sleeping, but we don't have a window in the attic loft. And because we have fire here in the cabin, because we have propane, until I get another window into that other loft, we won't use that as a sleeping loft. We could sleep potentially like 10 people here in this cabin, but because I don't have a window up there, I'm not willing to have the kids sleep up there. I'm not willing to sleep up there because if we did have a fire, you need to have an egress. And yeah. Christy Bet said, sounds like your guests just wanted a place to rest for the night. Yeah, mostly, and our price is really low. But I do think a good selling point is the animals. Everybody has loved the animals and the girls so far. Julie Henderson said, Amazon Ice Delivery daily. That's a great option. Read Tyler's comments on propane. I think I did, didn't I? Hello all, Central Florida prepper. Sarada said, thank you, Tyler Wood, for that info. We're getting a residential fridge in our RV instead of propane. Tim Crusham said, I think Doug and Stacy have a propane fridge. Julie said, get volunteers to assist with chores in exchange for bed and meals. Well, and we did do the woofers the year that we went on our RV trip. That summer, we had woofers, and it was wonderful. I got all the big projects I wanted to have done. And it's one of the reasons why we put this cabin together, is I wanted somewhere for the woofers to stay and have an exceptional experience, a fun experience where they felt pampered. I really wanted this to be that for them. But we have so many of our big projects finished. We don't really have any big ones left to do, that if we had, I would want the farm to be up and running a little better before I had more woofers come, just so that they would have more to see and experience. Because again, all the big projects are finished. I don't have anything else for them to really do. And the girls take care of chores, so we don't really need it. Tyler Wood said, great idea. New tech refrigerators use a turbine compressor with substantially lower power needs. Cool. Patty Ford said, how much land do you have? Where are you at? So we're in southeast Idaho, and we have 1 acre and 2/3. And it's enough to graze 6 ruminants, like goats or sheep, from the end of April until October. And so we don't have to bring in feed during that time. Our geese, ducks, chickens have paddock grazing systems in with our drip system so that they eat all the grass and all the bugs around all the fruit trees, so we don't have to weed whack as much. And then our rabbits eat off of the gleanings off of our fruit trees and our living fence and our gardens. And so it's only 1 acre and 2/3, but we do a huge amount, just a huge amount on that. And I wouldn't want it to be any bigger. We actually have sections of our property that we don't graze or do anything on because we don't need to. All of our animals actually graze on less than 3/4 of an acre, and we have them in rotation. And right now we actually have lawn. About half of our property right now is in lawn and not even being grazed, because in getting ready to sell it, I was trying to make it look more conventional. So that's kind of weird to me. I actually have a lot of wasteland right now, and it boggles my mind at how productive the land can be when you have so much staggering of systems. The staggering of the grazers, the staggering of the chickens and the ducks, and the right ratio of animals that go with each other or behind each other. And the longer we go, the more productive it becomes, the more efficient it becomes, and the less work it takes to keep it up, which just, I mean, that's what you hope for, right? Let's see. Julie said, ask Darwin to create an ice maker storehouse run by solar. Well, he is working on a lot of those kind of things with the aircrete and with solar right now. He does have an air conditioner already that just runs off a little solar panel. But we haven't needed it this year, so we haven't brought it out. He has set it up on his own property. So go over and check out Honeydew Carpenter. I don't know if he'll have the video up yet, but he does have the evaporative cooler with the aircrete set up on his shop right now to cool down his shop. Jared 1838 says, how do I register that I'm watching the live chat? I'm not sure. I probably am way behind on comments, so I'm really sorry about that. So if you've commented, I'm sorry that I haven't read it yet. Hyder said, I'm thinking that our energy improved when we get away from EMF. Really? 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 Oh, your energy, like your physical body. I thought you meant like power-wise. Yes, I think it can make a difference when you're not around the electricity. I know for me that my my thinking slows down. You can tell that it's slowing down a little too much right now. Christy Bett said, my animals in the garden settle me. I am a caregiver who hasn't had a break in a long time. I feel the same way. When I have my animals, when I have my garden, it gives me solace. It gives me energy. It's like it charges the battery. Sarada said, thanks, Tyler. Now I have a professional to ask RV questions too. J Wolfcat said foam mats are good. Sleep is more restful. Yes, and we have a really good source. We get them from Fred Meyer, and they're really good mats, and they're only $20. So the problem is that we have them up here for the Airbnbers, and the time it takes to redo the bedding after we've slept in it, it was simpler just to get some inexpensive beds for the house. But I do miss the cabin. If we don't have a lot of listings now, if somehow I screwed things up with the way that I set it up, there's pretty good odds that I would then just set up the house as the Airbnb and we would sleep here in the cabin because I love it out here. There's an option. We could totally do that, you know. Let's see. Mary Catherine said solar panels may be the way to go. They will supply your need for refrigeration and a client's phone charging. You may also have an option to sell excess electricity back to credit. Yes, and those are all options, and John has thought about that and is interested in it. For me, my desire is to find a mechanical way to do most things. Because, like you said, somebody on here said, having access to electricity takes away some of our innovation, in my opinion. What I'd really like to do is set up a sauna shower here next to the cabin so that we just start a fire in the winter in the sauna. We take our shower in the sauna separate from the house and then come back in the house so that we don't have running water still, but that we're super comfortable and warm. In the winter last time, we just closed in the deck with plastic so that we could shower out in the mudroom deck area and just open the door and let the heat from the wood stove go out there, and that worked really, really well. But it's not very pretty. Having all that plastic up around the deck isn't very pretty, but it does hold the snow off. So there's so many options, and you have to think so much harder when you're in a tiny space, because what works in the summer in a tiny space does not work in the winter in a tiny space. So I need to work harder on finding materials that are attractive for the front deck and finding ways to keep it cool in the summer but warm in the winter. The other thing we need to do is we need to insulate the floors, because that is the weak link in this cabin, is that I did not insulate the floors, and we do not have it, what's the word? We don't have straw bales or skirting along the bottom of the cabin, so the floors get very cold in the winter. Let's see. Okay, if my stomach growls, I apologize. I'm super hungry, but I wanted to finish reading all your comments before I go. So listen for the growling in the background. Okay. Ed said, how comfortable are you renting B&B with just you and the girls? Well, what we have is we have an outhouse, and we close the house at 10 o'clock at night. The Airbnb people are welcome to use the shower. They're welcome to use the laundry until 10 o'clock at night, and then we lock the doors, and they're expected to use the outhouse. We did that because of what happened the first night, where people came in really late at night, and I did get very startled, very frightened, trying to figure out what was going on, and it was in a different language, and so that was disorienting to wake up to. And so now we have the outhouse. It's a porta potty. I'd love to set up a real outhouse and use that instead, because then it wouldn't cost me anything, but there are regulations here that are specific to outhouses that are very expensive to implement, and so I'm kind of stuck with a porta potty that I have to pay for right now. But I figure the first month is just going to be a huge learning experience with what we will make versus what we'll spend, and how hands-on we want to be and all that kind of thing. But I do get a little bit nervous only at night. I get a little bit nervous about the Airbnb stuff at night. Other than that, I've been pretty confident. All right. Hey, Grandpa's Farm Rides again. How are you? It's so good to see you. Okay, Vicky said, Carolyn Sherlock, the boat gallery, lives on a sailboat and is very experienced with living with little or no refrigeration. She has a lot of good ideas and practical experience. I'll have to look that up. Okay, the boat gallery, Carolyn Sherlock. Interesting. Oh, how far behind am I on comments? Okay, what is a woofer? A woofer is it's like worldwide organization of organic farmers. It's people who come and they work on your farm in order to learn how to farm, and you feed them and you house them, but you don't pay them. Okay, the Geo Scholar said, first time viewing your live stream in a while. Yeah, and I haven't done a long one in a long time. I try really hard to come on for a little bit longer, but sometimes 10 minutes is all I can do. The Geo Scholar said, geese, ducks, goats sounds like good meals to me. Yes, and we don't like to eat our geese because it takes them so long to mature. I much prefer ducks because it's easier to pluck them. They don't eat as much. They mature so much faster. So for us, ducks have been more efficient for eating than geese. And the geese we have right now are so quiet. We love them so much. They will run off skunks and they will run off other predators, but they're not noisy all night. So we adore them. Sharon Tree said you could have a cooler and tell people if they pick up ice before they get there, they can use it for food. We do have a cooler, and what we've been doing is freezing water bottles in our freezer and then bringing them out to them. So we always have a cooler for them with frozen water bottles out here instead of the fridge. And it's a fantastic idea. Great minds think alike. Let's see. Yes, Geo Scholar said fallow. That is what I'm looking for, fallow sections. We have, like, I don't know, maybe half an acre, maybe more, maybe almost 3/4 of an acre that isn't being used right now, that we're just mowing the lawn. We're not mowing the lawn, we're just watering it and turning it into pasture that doesn't get eaten. Kate said our sheep were great for the lawn. I'm actually looking into sheep right now. I would like to get them back, but I prefer to bottle raise them so that they're super tame, because we do keep them on a picket system. That's how we rotationally graze them, is on a grazing line. And if they're not tame, it can damage them. They need to be tame when they learn to be on the picket line. So instead of going and buying a half wild sheep, I need to wait and get some bottle babies in the spring. That, and I need to kind of keep my plate a little lighter. When I get too many animals all at once, I have a tendency to lose animals because I'm not there to address their needs like I want to be. The Geo Scholar said, if you have fallow land, I recommend planting clovers and getting some bees. That's a great idea. We do have enough fruit trees and fruit bushes and clover and alfalfa for bees right now. But it was kind of John's project. It was the one project he really was excited to do here on the homestead. And it's always been my kind of like, I don't know. Bugs and I don't get along. I am very sensitive to all bites and stings. My skin, should show you some of my spots. Maybe you can't see them on my arm, but I react badly to comfrey and squash and weeds, and that's just weeds. That's not even bug bites. So I've been hesitant to do bees on my own. But John was really anxious to do it. So if we do them, John will be the one doing them. Any news regarding the job search? Yes, he got hired. He has a job here. Thank you, Sarada, by the way, for taking that down. He will be here in Idaho on the 19th of August. And we are super excited. It's like the best Christmas ever. We saw him about 6 weeks, 2 months ago. He came for a family reunion here, for my family reunion. And so we did get to see him then, but he will be back for good in August. And so we're super excited. We're so, so happy. Thank you, Grandpa, telling people what woofers are. Hey, Dan Harold, how are you? Hyder said, yes, I meant that our physical energy moves. I think it does when we're not around electricity. Kim Ryder said, could you let me know where you got that nice stove for your kitchen, the old-fashioned type? So the one, the Elmira, that is an actual, it has a vintage look, but it's a modern wood cook stove. It's an Elmira Fireview or Flameview. They have them at Lehman's catalog, and they're very expensive. We got ours at cost because the store that had one as a showroom model, John just happened to call at the right time and he got it at cost. And so, very expensive, like $6,500 expensive for the model we got. We did not pay that much. But they're wonderful. They're worth having. They have the propane attachment on the side, so you really can be off grid. You can use it to heat and cook in the winter with the wood part of it, and you can use it to cook in the summer with the propane part of it, and it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful stove. Hey, Honey Hollow, how are you? It's good to see you. Hyder said yes to the sauna shower. I know, that would be super exciting. If I could figure out how to make myself my own rocket mass heater from the plans that Darwin is doing up, I want to make one and put it in this sauna shower. Okay. Okay, Sharon Tree said, beadboard wood panels for deck in the winter. Beadboard. Remind me what beadboard is. I thought about doing the rigid plastic panels and doing that, and then just putting curtains up on the inside of it so that you could open them up when you wanted to let the sun in to heat the cabin up, but you could close them when you wanted to shower in that space. I just haven't done it yet because I'm trying to use what I have and not be spending a lot of money on the cabin while we're waiting to see if the Airbnb turns out to be what we want it to be. Let's see. Hyder said, love to see you and the girls doing your homesteading thing. It's inspirational. Thank you. Hey, Off-Grid Lifestyle, how are you? I wonder how far off I am on these comments. Luann Hoffman said, I found out about a bubble insulation you can use for floor insulation. Found it on YouTube. Very cool. Do you put it under the floor or on top of the floor? I really don't want to get under the cabin. There's spiders under there. But if I could find something like that, I'd really like to do spray insulation, and I really want to look into it and find, because I don't think it would be very expensive to do spray insulation underneath the cabin. And I wonder if they have a gun that would do it, that you wouldn't need to keep it from falling off of the floor, or if you could do it in multiple layers. I need to find out. I need to stop thinking about it and just find out. Living the Dream said, did your husband find a job close by? He did. And we are super excited to have him when he gets here. Hey, Blackfly. Carolyn said, I'm glad the Airbnb is working out well. I wish we had more bookings right now. I changed some of the settings and I think it screwed things up. Anita Johnson said, maybe we're not supposed to include links. So to look up woofing, use 2 W's. Thank you, Anita. Good night, Mary Catherine. Let's see. Grandpa asked, how is John doing? He is doing well. He's getting things packed up as we speak. He has the movers all scheduled and ready to go. The Geo Scholar said, I'm so used to get geese being pests that geese running off pests. That is a surprise to me. Yes, we like to use our geese as guard fowl because they will alert us when there's things out there. And most recently, they ran off skunks that were here to get baby ducks. But they can be a pest if they're noisy. They just don't let you sleep at night sometimes. Hey, Heirloom Permaculture, how are you? I've been enjoying your videos lately. See you, Tubular Guy 9. The Geoscholar said, by bees, I mean beekeeping to make honey. Yes, and John is really big into that, and he would love to do that. If he were here, he probably would. Tyler said, snakes and I don't get along. They're long dead before I'm done killing them. That's one of the things I was a little scared about in Oklahoma was the snakes. We do have rattlesnakes here, but they're out in the desert, not here in the irrigated agriculture area because it's quite cool here.
How are you selling your life now?
Hey, honey.
I'm done with books.
Can you take that black shelf out to the cabin for me, honey?
Can I sit down for a minute?
Yes, you may. Patsy said if you get bees, get the homeopathic remedy Apis. It's homeopathic antihistamine. It's brilliant. I do love homeopathics, and I should do that. Thank you.
Where's the purple layer I want to show it off?
Huh?
Where's the purple layer I want to show it off?
Okay. Okay. I wonder if I should just... Okay, Avon Leon said the rigid plastic is exactly what I was thinking for the porch in winter. Great idea. I bet you could find it on sale. Good luck. Yeah, it's not real expensive. I think it's like $18 a sheet, and I could probably do it for 10 sheets. I see that there are some projects that would make my life a ton easier if I were to do them. But at the same time, I look at them and I'm like, but would they create more problems? Like if I put rigid plastic up, it would mean we don't get that breeze through the front of the house in the summer. So I would need to put the doors on a hinge so that I can open them up and let the breeze in the summer. And to me, that just sounds like brain power that I don't currently have. Let's see.
Can you guys start dinner?
Yes, I do need to go and start dinner. Is the carne asada?
You need to carne asada and those coconut roll things, remember?
Yeah, but I'm going to do the cooking, okay? Can you take that shelf for me and I'll throw the garbage away?
Sure.
And thank you for bringing the feed sack.
Can you tell me where the purple bit was? I kind of wanted.
It was in one of the boxes that went into the house, honey.
What?
Kim said, what is the average temperature there in the summer and snowfall in the winter? Generally, we don't get out of the 70s until July, and then we're in the high 70s to mid 80s most of the time, but we do occasionally get a temperature in the 90s. Huh? Nope. And make sure not to hit anything with the shelf, okay? No, how about if you carry it a different way? Because I'm worried you're going to break things. Why don't you stand it up so it's tall like you? Sorry guys, we got moving stuff still going out. That quilt in the background reminds me of Maryland state flag. Isn't it lovely? I had Defender of the Wheat make this for me. We traded a whole bunch of fleece, sheep fleece for it. The little ugly duckling said, are you all settling into your little tiny? Well, we're not in the little tiny right now since it's being Airbnb'd. I'm sitting in it now, but we are mostly in the big house right now. That could switch very easily because we have stuff for living and doing everything we need to do in both houses, but that's what we're doing right now. Kim said, are you northern Idaho or southern? We're southeastern. We are not in the wooded portion. We are in the agricultural valley. You gotta go? Okay, thanks, Grandpa Jones. Okay, thanks, Smile more. Thanks, I appreciate it. All right, Avonlea answered the temperature there sounds heavenly. I'm sweating here and I have AC on. Yeah, it's really nice and it's in the 50s at night. It's super nice. Okay, I'm gonna go feed kids because they're getting squirrely. Make sure to go check out the Etsy store if you're into off-grid type stuff. We have the sun oven there. We have the spinning wheels. We have the what are they called? The ebooks for the homesteading. It's Dirtpatcheaven. If you look up Dirtpatcheaven on Etsy. 99 in Colorado. Yeah, we're super cool here. We are the part where they grow potatoes. We are an hour from Pocatello, and that is actually where John is going to be. He has to be within 20 minutes of his hospital, and so he will be in Pocatello. We will still be up here while I'm getting everything sorted out, but we will have him on weekends, which will be so much better than it is right now. We're so excited. Geoscholar said, Idaho's weather sounds great. Better than Georgia, low 80s here, but it's humid and nasty. Yeah, it's pretty dry here. Boise's a good place to be, yeah. Evan Leon likes this. This is fabric with a foam behind it, so it's the backing for our bench. I'm glad you like it. Well, we like it here. So, okay, I gotta go because my kids are gonna revolt and eat each other instead of waiting for dinner. So, love you guys. Thanks for popping in, and we will talk to you later.